What's up, Explorers? I'm Jeff from the Cloud Explorers. Welcome to the Microsoft AI Advent Calendar, the Winter Party Exploration Series. Like many, I'm relatively new to the Azure AI topic. But after watching the Microsoft Ignite in November, I get super excited to explore the Microsoft AI solutions. So, in this series, I would like to share my exploration findings and musings. With holiday season upon us, why not do this in a holiday style and spirit using the Advent calendar? Adding a little bit of a surprise to each video. So let's jump in to the first episode about Azure OpenAI service. So, easiest way to find information about Azure OpenAI is simply using your favorite search engine. Type in Azure OpenAI and you'll get a lot of information. The most important article to start with, at least, is the what is Azure OpenAI service. It's part of the Learn on Microsoft, so it's part of the learning curriculum, and it contains the basic information that you need to understand the service. So let's jump in and have a look at what the service is all about. Well, first, I think it's important to explain that this service provides REST API access to OpenAI's powerful language models. What does that mean? It means that it provides REST API access to the models that OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, has created. It wouldn't be a Microsoft service if it didn't have all kinds of features available for it. And the basics are covered here in this feature overview. Obviously the models, GPT-4, GPT 3.5 Turbo series, embedding series, which I have no clue what it is, so something we're gonna find out together in future videos. Then there's a link to the models, and in this link you can see all the models available and everything about the models. I'm not gonna cover it in detail. I am going to share the link down below, so if you're interested, check it out. Price, I'm gonna skip that for now. Next one, virtual network support and private link support. Yes, I'm super happy with this because a lot of the services that come as a preview do not have virtual network support or don't have the private link support. So I'm really excited about this as it can keep any kind of data private and extend certain data requests, which is very, very cool. There's a but here, unless using Azure OpenAI on your data. I'm not sure what that means, but something we're gonna find out together as well. But if you're using Azure OpenAI on data, this is not available. So again, we're gonna find this out together in a couple of future videos. Managed identity, yes, very cool. We have managed identity of the box, so least privilege access communication between services. Microsoft Entra ID RBAC is available as well. UI experience, well, obviously the portal. If you're not a fan of the portal, you like to do things through CLI, PowerShell, whatnot, also available. However, the configuration of the actual service is done through a SaaS-like portal, the Azure OpenAI Service Studio, where you can do model exploration, fine-tuning, configurations, etc. Model regional availability. Not all models are available in all the regions, and there's a difference between the regions where they're available. Click here, you'll end up in the same page, and you'll see here a model summary table for regional availability. Check that one out. Finally, content filter. Well, the prompts on completion are evaluated against a content policy automated system from Microsoft. So even if out of the box you don't have any content filter configured on your OpenAI service, Microsoft still takes care of that, and high severity content is still filtered. And this is done because of the following topic, which is responsible AI. Microsoft recognizes that Azure OpenAI has a significant potential for benefits, but without careful design and thoughtful mitigation, these kind of models can be, well, wrong, incorrect, or even very harmful. So to maintain that as much as possible, content filtering is applied to you on top of the servers by Microsoft out of the box. And again, next video is one of the few next videos. You can adapt additional content filters, but we're gonna find that out as well. So how do I get access to Azure OpenAI? Let's skip this topic and keep it as last because it has some interesting things to go through, which at least I didn't expect. Next topic, comparing Azure OpenAI and OpenAI. So this is, I covered this slightly at the introduction as well. What's the difference between those two? Well, OpenAI provides the language models, and Azure OpenAI creates a wrapper, which is basically an Azure service around those models, make them available through REST API, supporting the very cool Azure toolkit that we have, which is VNet integration that we covered, Microsoft Entra ID integration, log analytics integration. All the cool stuff you have for all your regular services in Azure are also available here. That's what makes it an Azure OpenAI service and not just an OpenAI service. So you can integrate it as native as possible with other Azure services in your cloud environment. Now, a couple of key concepts to understand. First one is prompts and completions. Prompts and completions are basically input and output when you communicate with an AI model. A prompt, your input, for example here, count to 5 in a for loop, and completion, output from the AI model. In this case, it literally created the for loop, but you can ask it anything. You can ask all kinds of existential questions. What's the meaning to life, or how you feel about the weather, etc., etc. Next one, tokens. So this one was a bit surprising for me because when I think of tokens, I think of authentication tokens. I'm that brainwashed into security compliance area. In this case, that's not what is meant here. Tokens is the way text is being broken down to be processed, and bigger words are broken down into smaller tokens. Like example here, the word hamburger is broken down into hamburger tree. So basically into 3 tokens. Smaller words, peer, single token, trailing spaces, starting white spaces, etc. are also part of the tokens. So why is this important to understand? Some of the tuning and trimming that you do on the service is based on the amount of tokens. Also, there are different models with different token limitations as well. So it's important to understand what a token is. And now that we do, let's jump to another topic for which this is important, which is price. And let's open the link and have a look. We have here the regular pricing page from Microsoft. Region, as you can see, not all regions are available. Grayed out regions don't, well, this service is simply not available there yet. Currency, change it to your currency or leave it like it is. I leave it like it is just for example, because we're in the region East US anyway. GPT 3.5 Turbo has a context of 4K, so 4,000 tokens is its limit. And each prompt, each input is calculated per 1,000 tokens. So you've seen the word hamburger is 3 tokens. Make your estimations on how much which input would be based on this. So in this case, it will be $0.0015. And the bigger the model as input has, or the more modern, advanced the model is, the more expensive it obviously becomes. So up to GPT 4, 32,000 tokens, it will cost you 6 cents per token or 12 for completion. We have some base model prices here as well, fine-tuning image models. This one is quite interesting. You get $2 for 100 images. Initially, I was mega excited for this service. Because I thought, yeah, I can create very cool 4K backgrounds for my PC. There are some limitations here because it's a preview service, and I think these limitations will get lifted as we move forward. But for now, something we're gonna cover in one of the next Advent calendar videos. So if you're interested, Make sure that you keep track when we release new ones. ADA model, I have no idea what this. We're gonna find out. Whisper model, again, same thing. I have no idea. We're gonna find out. Jumping back to the learn.microsoft.com. So we covered pricing. Let's finalize the key concept. So what do we have left? We have resources and deployments left. Resources explains basically that you can create Azure OpenAI service the way you do resource creation through portal, CLI, etc. like I mentioned, and you can maintain it through resource management design. Deployments, you can deploy it in a similar sense. However, thing to note here is after the service is deployed, inside the service, you first need to deploy at least a model, otherwise it will not work. You need to choose a model first. After that, you can jump into prompt engineering. And prompt engineering is a very important skill to develop as it helps you configure and maintain the service. Microsoft has a very good learning on this, which is Introduction to Prompt Engineering. We're gonna take this page in one of the Advent Calendar videos, and we're gonna try all the configuration that's been set up here about the prompt completions, etc., and experience live what the settings mean so that you have a bit of a better understanding how this behaves. So let's jump back to the final topic, which is how do I get access? Well, currently access is limited because of high demand, upcoming product improvements, etc. So the only way, what that means is basically you can't create it the way you do create normal services. You can't go to the portal, create new service, select it. Not yet. You need to do some a step before that, and you can't do it through CLI, PowerShell, infrastructure code, whatever you're going to use as automation until you've completed these steps. And these steps is an application form. You can get to the application form either clicking here or going to AKMS, OAI, apply. And if you type that correctly, you should end up on the request access to Azure OpenAI service. So, as mentioned here, don't take my word for it. Read this yourself when you're filling in the form. But I'll give you some background information as I've already filled in this form and had a little bit of experience with it. There are some limited access scenarios to go through. And I think one of the important things is if you're already a customer, there's actually a separate form to extend the additional use cases for what you want to use instead of creating a new request. There are two important things to know for possible denial is you need to be a approved enterprise customer. Click here to learn more. I'm not going to cover it here. Up to you guys to figure that out. Any application cannot be submitted with a personal email address. Make sure you use your corporate email address here. So, other final thought here is make sure you whitelist these two mail addresses so you don't end up missing the communications with regards to this form. And if you have questions, you can email them to csgate.com about the csgate@microsoft.com about the application process. Forms, as any form, starts very simple: first name, last name, and we get up to 3 subscriptions that we can select to request this service to be made available on. I'm not sure what happens if you would need more. I would assume you would need to fill in the form again and select 1, 2, 3 again for 3 others. I don't have that many subscriptions to try this out. So if any of you have some information on this, please share it in the comments below. I would be grateful. So let's select 1, which basically means that we just need to fill in information for 1 subscription in step 4. You need to fill in the subscription ID, not your tenant ID, your Azure subscription ID. And it must belong to your organization, because if it doesn't, you get a deny. There's a good link here on how to get the subscription ID. You can copy it from the portal. You can use your CLI tools, etc., PowerShell automation tools to get it. Simply paste it here, remove any prefix, suffix, white spaces. So this is the email address that I've been repeating Here, fill in your company mail address, period. Company information, name, street, address, company, city, state, province, zip code, company country, not your country, but your company's country. Please use the full country name, not USA, but United States, etc., etc. Company's website, company's phone number from the HQ. So this is the easiest way to do these two steps. Simply Google the company that you work for, the information that you get, fill that in here. What type of organization is your organization? So is it an independent service provider? Is system integrator, solution provider, something else? Or are you just a Microsoft MVP who's working for that company? Then you can select that option. If you have a contact at Microsoft, fill in the contact full name and in question 16 is address. These are optional, but I guess they can help. So in case the team that processes this form has additional questions about your request, they will contact this Microsoft employee to give them a bit more of background information. So if you have them, it won't hurt to fill them in. Again, here, you need to make sure that you requested for your own organization. This is another verification that you're actually filling it in for your own organization and not for your client. Step 18 is where we actually select the services that we want to be enabled. So text and code models, DALL-E 2 model, and OpenAI Whisper model. If we select all three of them, we get additional questions. And the first one is for DALL-E. You need to select your use cases. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail. Carefully select the use cases that you want to apply this service to. And if you're an MVP like me, you can select the MVP use case. Otherwise, prototyping, etc. They're quite extensive, to be honest. Next one is because DALL-E generates images, Microsoft wants to make sure that you first review the images yourself, or at least a real human being reviews the images, because it is still in preview, it's still being developed, and you need to make sure that the content is safe to be shared with audiences, external groups, etc. So after you've done that, you press agree. Text and code, very similar setup. Chat, conversation creation, etc. Data generation, all the topics, all the use cases that you want to use, you can select them here. Next one is acknowledgement, that you actually read and understood the legal terms, that you understand that this is a preview product. So supplemental terms of use for Microsoft Azure Previews needs to be understood. You need to understand the product documentation and the code of conduct for the Azure OpenAI service, and then acknowledge it. Final one is make sure to understand the data processing details. What happens to the data that you input? What happens to the data that you index, search, etc., which you include in Azure OpenAI service? You need to understand it. If you do, you attest. And the final question is an optional question. If you want to take a quick survey about this process, type in yes, submit the form. You should receive an email relatively shortly, and that email should guide you further in the process. If I remember correctly, for me, it's stated about up to 10 business days for them to review my request, and just follow from that and keep track of the email. Hopefully, by the time I release the next video on this topic, you have your Azure OpenAI service, so you can play around with it and follow my lead hands-on. If you haven't, if it will be denied, if you're not part of, etc., please be on the lookout for my next video on this topic. And if you liked it, subscribe, obviously. If you didn't like the video, download the shit out of it. If you're interested in the other videos that are going to be released in the Advent calendar, make sure you subscribe so you get a notification on the next release. That's it for this video about Azure OpenAI service. Have a great holiday, everyone. Bye bye.